I'm back for part 2 of our lesson today. The second part of our activity is asking you to start thinking about number relationships, but instead of just looking at fact families, we're going to be digging a little bit deeper. And the learning target changes just a bit. The new learning target is I am learning to understand and solve story problems. So next, on the second part of your math task today, you're going to be thinking about story problems. All right, so we're learning to understand and solve story problems. And the way we do that is the first and probably most important thing that we can do is we are first going to read and then reread the story. That really helps us understand what's going on in this story problem. There were 8 frogs in the pond. And sometimes I even like to underline some things as I'm reading that hop out at me. There were 8 frogs in the pond. Some more came, and now there are 11 frogs in the pond. So the next step that I like to do when I'm trying to understand a story problem is I like to visualize it. I like to think about, if I were to see this story come to life, what would it look like? And oftentimes I either act it out or I draw a picture to help me. In this story, it says that there were 8 frogs. So I could quickly draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frogs. I'm not going to draw them with their eyes and their legs because this is just a math drawing and I want to just hold that idea in my brain. If it was also helpful, I could get something out like cubes, and my cubes could each represent a frog. I could act it out. So there's the 8 frogs that were in the pond. So I'm going to label that with the number 8 because that's what that represents. The next part of the story said some more came. And when I'm picturing that, I can't visualize how many more came because the story doesn't tell me. So now I'm thinking, that's the part that I don't know in the number relationship. But I do know from the next part of the story that it says now there are 11 frogs in the pond. So I'm visualizing now joining this group of these 8 frogs, some more came to play at the pond. So I'm thinking that I could put a box here to represent the pond and some more are going to come joining it. So now I'm thinking if there were 8 and some more came to make a total of 11, I have to think about, what could I do? Am I going to add to solve this problem? Am I going to subtract to find this problem? Let me think. I want to go back and find the question so I can figure out what the problem is trying to ask me. It said, how many came? Well, I know how many were there. It was 8. And I don't know how many came, but if they came, more would be coming. So I'm going to use the operation of addition. And then I don't know how many came, but I do know how many are in all. So now that I have read and reread, I visualized the story, I found the question, it helps me to match an equation to the story. And to solve this problem, I would start with the ones that are in the pond. I would think about, how many more would I need to get the total of 11? And I'm going to use cubes, so here's my 8. And I'm going to keep adding another frog, 9, 10, 11. So now I can see, if 8 were there and I added another frog each time, I would see that there are a total of 3 frogs that came to the pond. So boys and girls, when you're learning to understand a story problem, it helps to reread it, first visualize it, find the question that the story problem is asking you, and think in your brain what equation would match that story. In your work today, it looks just like this. Your job is to look at the stories and Follow the steps we just talked about. Reread, visualize, find the question, and then finally match the equation that goes with the story. The equations are listed on this side and the stories are on this side. All right, friends, remember that you can understand number relationships to understand how to solve story problems. Don't forget to solve the story problems once you figured out how to match the equations. And as always, reach out to your teacher. Let them know if you are struggling. Let them know if you also had some success. We love to hear from you, and we are glad that you stretched your math muscles today. Take care.